Hey Jeff,
Hello.
I'll pause the recording and okay, thanks. Yeah, go Charu, sorry.
All right, go for it.
Yeah. So I'm currently playing the role of Scrum Master, and I started as a Scrum Master in 2017. So the topic that I proposed is one of the challenges that I face very often. I have worked with multiple teams, but taking people out of their comfort zone and challenging them or to have that pie shape or form shape skill sets within the team. I find it very challenging because people don't want to come out of their comfort zone. They have expertise in one skill and they want to carry on with their experts the skill they have expertise on. So have you faced similar challenges or any suggestions how to overcome with this challenge, how to motivate the team to become a com shaped skill set? Or yeah.
Yeah, absolutely, yes. A lot of this starts with how both your product owner and your leadership are actually holding the team, right? Especially your leadership, are they actually treating the team as a team, meaning a group of people that have to collectively deliver a solution together? That's really important, because if your leadership are just treating them as people who are just a set of skills that they can move around, then it's not going to work. So your leadership has to be focused. It really has to communicate clearly. You people are a team. I know you have specialized skills. Some of you are actually even experts in an area, but we're looking to you as to deliver value as a team of people to a customer or a stakeholder. And your product owner has to behave that way too. You can't all be on you as a scrum master, okay? That just won't work, because it can't be you trying to drive them and telling people how they're going to behave. They actually have to be given a reason to do it. And this is where your leadership and your product owner can really help you out. The other thing is, for you as a scrum master, to treat them as a team as well. You have people, you mentioned, well, I have people that want to be experts. Well, it's good for their experts, but you can remind them they're there to deliver something of value to a customer, not be an expert, right? And it's awkward and uncomfortable, but that's honestly, that's the world you live in, right? That you got hired here, not just, yeah, we love your expertise and what you bring in it, but we're all there to deliver something value to a customer. And you have to kind of keep reminding people of that. And don't support the siloing, right? If you see the siloing happening, make that visible. You say, well, you guys say we can't finish it because we're stuck with the testers are waiting for the developers and stuff like that. What are you guys going to do about that? Because we still have to deliver this backlog item. All right. And that's where you're going to be uncomfortable, but that's the kind of way you have to facilitate the conversation. Don't ever try to solve the problem. Help them solve the problem. Don't solve it for them. That, in my experience, is the best way to do that. Then they come up with their own solutions.
So,
Sorry.
Jeff, one of the responses that I usually receive, the one scenario that you just mentioned, they would say, developer and testers, they have different mindset. And because the delivery is on stake and we are asking you to developers to test, then they would say, this might lead to deterioration in quality because we don't have that mindset and we might skip few quality aspects. So how to deal with that?
Yes. And so what we're asking you to do as an Agile team is to, if you want to use mindset as the focus of what you're talking about, we're asking you to change your mindset. Right? And this is actually something this is the kind of thing that can't just come from you. It cannot just come from you. It has to come from your leadership. right? Saying, no, we actually want you to behave differently. Show them a picture of a T-shaped person, or your leadership showing a picture of a T-shaped person. Yeah, I get you have this stuff, but guess what? Instead of the quality measurements sitting with a person, the quality measurements have to sit outside of a person, right? We're measuring and we expect a certain thing of quality. And if, you know, the disaster happens is when people have hidden attributes in their head that they're not making visible. They're either not doing enough, or they're gold plating stuff. They're going way beyond what the thing for. So if there's quality things people are concerned of, get it out of their heads and visible up on the board. Is this something that's really valuable? You know, that you know, the story you told where, well, if we have developers testing something, they're going to miss something. Well, what is this thing they're going to miss, and why don't we all know about it? Right? Because if you think, you know, if I hear a tester saying that to me, okay, if you get hit by a bus tomorrow, nobody's going to have that quality thing in your head. So it's really important we get that visible and make sure that's important.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
And when you say that we need to leadership and PO should also be aligned, so do you mean that we should you know, convince them to buy some time? Because when a particular individual is trying to come out of his or her comfort zone, obviously they'll take a little more time, you know, and that might impact the delivery dates.
Absolutely. You know, the way where I saw this handled the best is when I was, you know, it was it was formerly a unit of Cisco, but it was in Bangalore. And the vice president in charge of this whole 3,000 person unit really wanted people to start behaving this way. And so he made them all comfortable. You know, I'm giving you the space to do this. I'm holding you to this high standard that I want you as a team focused on a customer solution. But I'm going to give you time to learn. I'm going to give you an awesome coach to work with. And, you know, but he held that, he just changed, he kept holding them to a high bar, but he changed the bar, right? But so they knew they had time to learn this. And he said, your jobs are all secure here. You know, we know that it's going to go slower and you're not going to get fired for this, but I'm looking for you to all be able to deliver a whole solution. And first, in some areas, it was not easy. That's for sure. Even developers in that organization were highly siloed. So, yeah, yeah, yeah. So that's why that's why having a leadership message that this, you know, for them, for him, he was, if we don't stop siloing the way we are, we're going to lose the company because we can't keep up. Right. And so that was a pretty compelling vision. If we don't start delivering as teams, we're not going to be here a year from now. So, all right. So maybe that could be kind of drastic, but leave, you know, but it's so important to make sure that the leadership actually has this vision along with them as making the journey along with them. They have to change as well.
Yeah. Anyone else has experienced similar
Yes,
challenges?
yes. I would just like, yeah. Please go ahead, Meenakshi.
No,
Sorry.
no worries, Rita. So I just want to know, like, sometime I've seen if you ask product owners toward the end of the quarter or toward the end of the release, so what you have achieved. So they will just go like, oh, I have accomplished this many n number of features, and we have published this. See how many number of features we have accomplished with the help of the Scrum team. So thing is that they're still in the output mode. They're still output driven, you know. So it's like giving, if you ask them, okay guys, we are going to start new release, what you have in your mind, so they will like, it's like giving them a machine gun and number of feature, and you just start hitting it. It's not like that. So we need to let them understand, guys, we need to uh, chime in with our customers. We need to be little bit outcome driven. Are we really tying with the cost that our customer, or a little change in the mindset or the behavior, a small change that we can bring in the customer's behavior, what they're doing right now, how our small change, maybe how they're using it now, and if a developers can change a little bit, that small change may do a lot of benefit in term of cost, in term of energy, because if you, and the team even should be in a mode of encapsulated mode, you know, encapsulated in the sense they have the power, the empowerment to change the plan. They can change the plan because they are working together. They are working together with the customer. They are working together with the leaders. So they know what is the solution, that what is the problem they are going to solve it. It's not that their product owner has just asked, oh, I just want these features to be delivered. It's not like that. Walk into the room, go to the war room, look how they are behaving. Even in the virtual mode, you can connect with your customers, see whatever application that you have built in, is it really worth, is it really solving their problem, or it's just making their life worse. They will never accept your solution. Yeah. So that is, so we will never accept. Towards the end of the release, I have seen people, product owners hearing, I have accomplished 6 of the feature that I have proposed out of 8. Really? How many have been accepted by the customer? Why you're not minding that? Nobody is looking for that matrix. You know, if you see our the last annual Agile, the state, in the 11th annual conference, it was shown the velocity for was the measure of the Scrum team, any of the Scrum team metrics. That was the velocity, then one down chart, and but now it's changing, guys. So I've seen in the last 2019 annual report, it was always the customer satisfaction that is holding the first position. So it should not be like giving a machine gun to your product owners and go and fire in the Scrum room, deliver a number of features, not like that. That's what I wanted to add. I think Rahul is raising hand and Shweta was also. Sorry guys, I took more time. Yeah.
I think Shweta was first.
Yeah, it's okay. If you want to speak first, want to
No,
add
no.
something to it. Yeah, Charu, I was just wanted to share my experience to your problem since I am also a developer. So, I was doing coding for 10 years. So this is the normal excuse you'll get from a developer that if I do something else, then you are gonna lose on time. So what I do as a Scrum Master for my sprint, and of course, product owner needs to support or cooperate on that. That we design our sprint in various categories. When we design the sprint, we keep like necessary features and a few good to have features for which we are not supposed to deliver at the end of sprint. So I just push my team to work with different or to experiment with different skills on those particular features, because we don't have that no restriction that if we don't deliver it with the sprint, we are losing on something. So if somebody is writing code for maybe 5 years, he can experiment with testing with the help of tester. So those 5 features, if we are not delivering, it's not going to affect my delivery or the feature delivery to the customer. So that kinds of give an open space to the team to experiment with the things and give you a time also.
So is this motivation sufficient enough for the team members to try out new things? Because Jeff also, he I think he also clearly mentioned that unless leadership is aligned and you have that mindset,
Yes.
you give ample of time or anything, unless you have that mindset, and they know a team is also at a they know that we are in a fail safe environment, so it takes push
Yes,
to
it takes
try
push.
the,
I agree, and
yeah,
it takes time also. Yeah, you'll not be able to achieve that in one single sprint. It will be gradual.
hmm.
And what I experiment with my team is sometimes that I put freshers, the beginners, to test the code of the experts. So
So isn't it
no,
if you are assigning, you being scrum master,
not
you
assigning.
yourself,
Maybe assigning. I meant that when you are into KT mode or something, so when they have to learn the product, we start with testing first, so that they have no opportunity to test the product and understand, and they experiment with how testing goes on also, or maybe other things that you need to experiment with the team, what works well with what team member.
all right.
Rahul.
Rahul, yeah.
Yeah, hey, Jeff. Uh, okay. So I think a lot of people misunderstand that Agile is about speed. Agile is not about speed. So Agile is uh, about a lot of things, including uh, like dripping down the empires. empires of knowledge. So what happens is, uh, so some people in banks, especially, a lot of people, they have built their empires around the old technologies, and they don't want to share the knowledge because they want to save their jobs. That's, I mean, that happens. uh, so so it's very important, and that is the reason backlog refinement sessions like plays a vital role, where it's like, if everyone doesn't understand that what needs to be done, then we are not building it. And that's where definition of done also plays a role, that it doesn't matter whether you have done your coding, but if the testing is not done, if all the acceptance, I mean, all the items in the definition of done, if they are not meeting the criteria, then it's not done, and the whole team is not getting the points. So, and again, it's team's failures. Also, one thing that I have noticed is like individual performance uh, uh, appraisals, not appraisals, but like individual awards, individual awards. That is also a big culprit, to make sure that people, they actually are working against each other rather than working with each other. So people, that heroic mentality, because if I will help them when my manager will come, then I will get the most of the points. So that's why, if when it comes to cross functionality, then everyone has to contribute in almost everything. It will take time, it will take time. And I do agree with Jeff, like it needs to come from the leadership. Because if leadership wants, because I remember at one of the banks when I worked, the program manager, she was like, no, but I am paying much more money for my programmers than my testers. But if my programmers will, if they will test,
Testing.
then yeah, then I'm like, I'm not utilizing them to the fullest.
Yeah.
And I was like, and I was like,
Seriously.
you, so yeah,
Like
so it's
buying
like,
Yeah, this is very
yeah,
common thing. Yeah, yeah.
yeah. So then my point was that, okay, you are still waiting, you are still hiring, you are still keeping those programmers for one whole year, right? One whole year, because you didn't have testers. Now it cannot be tested. Because it cannot be tested, you still have to have those programmers, because what if there are defects, they need to solve the defects, right? So rather than let them test. So that's why a lot of people, they think about like per hour money or per day money. So they, I mean, that's why people have to think long term, what is sustainable, rather than like what is like for 1 hour, if I'm paying like $20, if I'm paying $30. So that's why, I mean, it has to, mindset need to change from leadership. So yeah, that's my experience.
Jeff, do you have some exercises or techniques that you could suggest?
well,
We can try out in our teams.
as a scribe, I was just thinking, and I was going to share a story of something that happened last year. I was coaching actually at one of the large IT services firms, and this was I actually spent, this is the last gig I've had, because it was last year into this year, and then everything stopped. And I was in Chennai, and so this is a team. Let's just say they're launching a huge new internal customer service app. It was a company in the insurance industry, and they had this IT services firm doing work for them. And so they had a lot of development and a feature get done, but then they had to do acceptance testing in Selenium, okay? And what was happening in reality was that it was taking them 2 sprints to do everything, because they would develop a feature and then throw it all over the wall to the Selenium testers, who would develop the who would develop the Selenium test to test this stuff. And it was easily, and so the technique I'm going to suggest is to use visualizing the workflow on your task board as much as you can. Then it's not you telling people what to do. Then it's you're actually visualizing how things are moving slower by people being siloed, right? You can see where things are getting blocked or where people is waiting. You're using Scrum because you're making it all very empirical. You're showing the data on the wall. Then it's not about you, it's showing the data. So the team saw this, and you had good, smart developers. Selenium is not easy to learn. Selenium is mainly written in Java, Selenium tests. So they said, can we, as a whole team of developers, testers, and the Selenium testers along with them, spend an hour a day together so we all learn Selenium? Because the question we put to them is saying, how do we develop this? How do we deliver this in one sprint? So as a Scrum Master, visualize the data, right? Put it on the wall so they can see the bottlenecks and say, how can you deliver this stuff in one sprint? Or how can we, look at it, we can only do 3 stories per sprint because we're all waiting for each other to do stuff. Let the data tell the story, and then challenge them with a question. How can we do this in one sprint? And then wait for them to come up with the answer. The thing with everybody learning Selenium was not an answer I gave them. That was an answer they came up with themselves. They went to the product owner and said, can we steal 1 hour a day of work from you so we can learn Selenium together? And the product owner, she said, if you can deliver stuff in one sprint, absolutely. And so that's what they did. They came up with a solution themselves. So visualizing where the bottlenecks are happening because of the siloing, and letting the data tell the story, and then just ask a powerful question. How do we do this so we can deliver faster? That's the best game I know of to do it. Okay.
Yeah, this is making them visualize. I think this is one of the
Right.
most powerful tools. Yeah, and making them come up on their own.
Right.
The solutions. Yeah.
This is how Scrum works. You empirically show what's going on, and then you ask, how can we make this better? And let people work it out on their own.
Hi there. We were just talking about the being having com-shaped skill set, how to motivate team to become cross-functional. Would you like to share your experiences or any workaround that you have found?
Are you asking me, Charu?
Yeah.
It was a sudden question, really. I just joined.
Sorry about that.
I need to think of it for a while.
You are on the spot.
Yeah, I'm on the spot. So usually with the teams that I work on, what I always do is I leave it to them. I tell them, this is what we can do, and it doesn't mean you need to try only my format. You come up with your own format. So I always, and then some of my teams, they keep saying you do nothing as a Scrum Master. I say, yeah, when the team, because you're saying I do nothing, which means I am doing something. I'm making you think, I'm giving you an opportunity to learn and empower yourself. So that is what I want you to think, that I don't do anything. So that's what I do. Really, I leave it for the teams. I tell them, this is what we are looking for. This is what the organization is looking for. This is what we as a team we need to be doing to align with the vision of the organization, or with what the organization want. And it doesn't mean that should be a blocker for us. If this is something is not working, you come up with some new hypothesis, so we can experiment. I always tend to throw on the team rather than me taking an opportunity to drive it.
And Jeff, I have one more question. How about if team says, or say a particular team member says that I don't have inclination towards learning, say we need a particular skill set, as you were talking about Selenium. Say one of the team members or a few team members say that we don't have that inclination, we don't want to learn. And if few team members can learn and, help us in delivering on the time, why should we, get out of our comfort zone? I mean,
This is actually where your leadership and not everybody would agree with this, but this is where your leadership can, you know, if they say, well, we're not inclined to do this, and your leadership said, well, are you inclined to get a paycheck? Right?
Yeah, correct.
Yeah.
You're not there to get, just be
Because,
smart,
yeah,
right?
Yeah,
You know,
so
you're
I
not
would like
there
to add in here, so it's really from the leadership that it comes
Yeah.
through basically. So they have allowed us to put in the capacity, the 20% of your capacity in innovation and learning, the continuous learning. So because as a scrum master, even if I want my team to learn something, I need to go and check again with the leadership. So it's from the leadership. They are so open to the agile. They themselves have provided, guys, please, in every sprint, put that particular, if team don't want to utilize it, it's fine. But please give that buffer so the team can continuously learn on something.
Yeah.
You know, a scrum master works with the product owner, the team, and the leadership. But I think it's really challenging to convince leadership. Somehow. I mean, how do you cope up with that?
so there are two things here. Sorry, is that
Best
question
consultants.
again or to Jeff?
No, go for it.
No,
Go.
no, no, no.
Um,
Everyone.
so this is how I see myself. So there are two things. Do you want to protect your job, or do you want to? There are two things you can do. Do you want to do the thing from your heart or from your mind? If you're doing things from your mind, you're doing to protect your job. If you want to do a thing with your heart, there might be a risk to your job, but it depends on how intellectually we do that intelligence balancing. So we shouldn't be. What I personally do is, if I want to say something to the leadership team, I try and tell in a diplomatic way, but I make sure the message reaches them. That's what I do. So when I want to say something, if I don't say it, I can't sleep that day. So I make sure I express it to the leadership team in one or the other way.
So, are you indicating
Uh,
towards clean language that we should use with the
Yeah.
leadership?
You should still be professional, and but make sure you pass the message to them in a diplomatic way. So that is what I do personally. Maybe Jeff might have something else to share.
You know, yeah, and I was kind of flip before, but it's kind of this is where a business, you know, that you're there and being a business, right? You know, nobody's paying you just to sit around and be smart, right? Right? We're there for value. Now, you know, I said one way of saying it. I told earlier, you know, the story of when I was coaching in Bangalore, and you got a vice president in charge of a 3,000 person unit, you know, and he was just very direct. If we don't change, so this was a company that was recently acquired by Cisco. Okay, and the first thing a big international company does is they want to see the results. Okay, and if they don't get the results, they're going to start cutting away. And so he was really honest. If we don't change, we're going to all get wiped out in a year. Okay, our new corporate parent are not going to tolerate this. And so it was a very compelling business game to play. It wasn't all about him saying you got to behave this way. He set a business game up that was really honest. And that's the other thing is instead of, you know, your leadership providing a real solid, measurable business result that they're after that shows how people have to change their behavior. If you change this, if you keep behaving this way, we're not going to get to our business result, right? And so this is why I'm asking you all to go on this journey with me to change
So
this.
just a quick time check, guys. 3 minutes for the session.
Okay, we got 3 minutes. Yeah. And if you don't do this, and if we don't get the business results, you know, then what happens? Our owners are not going to be happy. The shareholders are not going to be happy, and you're putting us all at risk.
And the other thing, we are in a competition world. If we don't tend to change along with the market, we will end up nowhere. And it will, if if it's a loss for the organization, indirectly it is a loss for us as well, being an employee or being a part of the organization, isn't it?
Also, something. Sorry, I'm not owning. I mean, it's quite dark here.
Getting dark.
So one thing, I think the question was like how to motivate the leaders, right? Uh, it was around leaders. So I would say, even if you are working permanently in an organization, even as a Scrum Master, uh, build some leadership alliance where you set up an expectation upfront that you will be working as a consultant, not as an employee who is in the in the structure. Because what happens is, that's how as a consultant we work. So
Correct.
when we go to the leadership, we actually ask that, okay, are you ready for this? Are you ready for this change? If you're not ready, let's not work. If you're ready, then only start this journey, because you will also need to change a lot of things. So are you happy with that? If
Participate.
you're not happy, yeah. So build that alliance. Make sure that they understand that you will be open and honest all the time, so that they will expect it. They will expect that you will be open and honest. Otherwise, I mean, if these and that's why we create all these working agreements. So if like to not to solve something, but to prevent a lot of things, so that you remember, hey CEO, you remember we had that alliance that I will be open and honest. So only because of that alliance,
Bingo.
I'm just raising it. So, but I'm just suggesting it. It's your decision whether you want to do it or not. So leave it to
Correct.
them.
And, you can only suggest, but you can't force people who doesn't want to change really. But our job is to make things more transparent and more.
Yeah, be that MRI machine who doesn't solve
Correct.
anything, but
Correct.
show the
Just
problems.
Yeah.
be the mother-in-law.
Yeah.
Right. I have to go because I have my own session starting in a few.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Sure. Thank you.
I have something else to share. You
Sure.
mentioned on the T-shaped, when people they do not want to learn something new, right?
Yeah.
So when you are building a team, when you are getting a person within your team, then set that expectation up front.
Mhm.
That I mean, there might be requirement to learn new things. Are you up for it? So again, creating that expectation, so that when it comes to that time, people I mean, they don't say no, because they know that, guys, you remember, I mean, we agreed upon it. So,
Yeah.
and now you're saying no. So I believe in preventing a lot of things. And I think these working agreements, whenever we interview new people, we actually set that expectation. Okay, you are a great Java programmer of 12 years of experience. What about if there is a need in testing? Will you test? And if person say yes, okay, then okay, then you will test. And if a person says no, then we know that, I mean, what's the mindset of the person.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's really easy to change. I mean, it's easy to upskill someone in the technologies, but it is really difficult to upskill someone in mindset.
Mindset.
So
Yeah.
Mindset.
I totally
yeah,
agree. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's it.
Thank you, guys. It was a wonderful discussion. And yes, playing, I would not say, I should not use that word playing, but yes, working with mindset is very critical and complicated as well, because that takes time, and every individual has his or her mindset, and then bringing that, collectively in a team is again a challenge. How would they collaborate with each other? Or so yeah. Yeah, thank you guys for your inputs. It
Okay,
was a nice discussion.
Thanks,
thanks
guys. Thank you
everyone.
so much. So
Yeah.
we have to. Okay. Bye.
Thank you.